Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Monday, another episode of me driving to work. I am slash chauffeur, Darkness 30XX of the Black Hood crew, named down there in the corner. By all means, comment, like, subscribe, the whole 9 yards across all the social medias, Facebook and YouTube at the Black Hood crew, Twitch, Twitter, Steam, and TikTok, the name there in the corner. Welcome back, everyone. Hope everyone had a good, beginning first week of the new year. I know I was gone for a couple days. I am back. Had a mini vacation. Had to, visit people, handle stuff, yada yada yada. But I am back. I am here for the foreseeable future, right here for you. So a little bit of news. I'm almost done with what I plan on streaming at home game until I finish it. The game will be Super Mario 64 being played on the computer. You heard me right. Super Mario 64 on the PC. Yeah. So that will be the game being played. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday nights at 9 p.m. That's Eastern Standard Time, EST, or you can catch me again on all the socials. It is a new week, Monday, January 10th of 2022. And we're going to get right into it, seeing as there's literally been no change coming out of last year when it comes to literally anything. Just had a discussion about a particular subject last night with some coworkers. This is in regards to CRT, critical race theory. Now, for anybody that doesn't know what that is, it is basically a college level course for law students in regards to using race or race's application when it comes to the justice system. Right? College level course. And not even like community college. We're talking about for law students. That's not even a general elective course. It's not even a gen ed course. It's literally a very specified course for a very specified career path. And yet people are up in arms because states are banning it. Now, why are so far, I think 13, 14 states have banned the teaching of critical race theory in public schools? Well, that is because some people are trying to push for its application in the public sector. I do agree with this because we already have something called history that teaches everything. If you look at any of American history, it's literally seeded with racism and bigotry, specifically toward African Americans, mostly. But also, you have periods of time where the Latino community was the target of that racism. Asian Americans, or Asians specifically, were targets of that racism then. Periods of time here and there, but for the long haul, for the most part, African Americans have been the number one target when it comes to racism and bigotry. Now, the reason I'm talking about this is because the fact that it needs to be banned, the fact that anybody wants to ban its teaching in any context, goes to show how much of a threat opening up the past and trying to learn from it is from those positions of power. Yeah, most politicians, specifically those on the right, but there's many on the left as well, um, who are just flat out racist, bigoted toward any kind of minority, and again, specifically to those of the African American community. It's basically saying the quiet part out loud at this point. They're specifically saying, we don't want this to be taught because we don't want people educated on the history of the United States of America when it comes to race. Even though this country was literally built on the backs of many people, many cultures that nowadays, from particular groups, would see lesser. Even 60, 70 years ago would have been seen as lesser, did not deserve to share the same water fountains, bathrooms, counter space, areas of the bus, and riding public transportation. So, does critical race theory need to be taught in public schools? I do not think so. What needs to be done, though, is there's to be a better application of currently written history as it stands. We don't need specific lessons when it comes to CRT because that is already ingrained into everything this country is, what it was built on and what it continues to operate on. Let CRT continue to be that college level course. Let it continue to teach law students or instruct law students on how to better differentiate and apply race when it comes to the law so that people are better represented. Because as it stands right now, folks are not represented equally. Not in the eyes of the law, and sure as hell not anywhere else. But again, if you want to teach or instruct when it comes to race, all you have to do is just literally open a history book on American history and deep dive. We have American history classes as regular courses in public schools, whether it's elementary, middle, or high school levels. It's already there. There's no need to push CRT as a more specified course when we literally have American history at our fingertips. Access to the internet, access to reliable sources of information where people can do that deep dive. Maybe not necessarily at the elementary level, but start getting into it in the middle school level, the high school level, so that once people reach college level or they reach, a level beyond high school, whether they do a trade school, whether they do an actual degree program, that at least they have a foundation when it comes to how we're treated, how race is handled here in the United States. Again, it does not need to be banned, but the fact that people are pushing for its banning just go show the fragile mentality of the white supremacists. The fragile mentality of those in positions of have racist tendencies, who have racist past, who choose not to overcome it, who choose not to learn from the history, to not open their eyes and see the world for what it really is. It is not, the world not a multitude of just shades that you could differentiate by hard lines, white, black, brown, whatever you want to go. There are no hard lines. What we are more than anything else as a people, as a human race, is a continuous rainbow, if you would, of color, of origin, of background. Nobody is ever just one thing. You are, even when it comes to those who are of, white ethnicity, white background, Caucasian, however you want to call it, even people in that particular group are nothing. You are not just white. Your background could come from many different places. You have culture. All you have to do is trace it. It's not that hard. You are not, nobody is just one thing. You're a mix of many different backgrounds, different cultures, different ways of life. There are people right now with skin as white as paper who have African ancestors. Technically, if you want to look at it from an evolutionary standpoint, we all have African ancestors. All of us. 100% of the world's population has African ancestors. Do you want to know why? Because theory of evolution states that the cradle of life, the actual beginnings of what would become Homo sapiens, us, started there. Started in Africa. Or back then, hundreds of thousands of years ago, was, an African supercontinent. For those of you that, that also study plate tectonics and continental shift. This is where we started. This is our history. We are not just one thing. We are an amalgamation of many things. We are not just the only one thing we actually are. Well, besides being two things we actually are. The two actual things we actually are. First is human. Before you're black, before you're white, before you're Asian, before you're Hispanic, before you're gay, straight, man, woman, Christian, Catholic, Jewish, Muslim, Buddhist. Before you're any of that, you're human first. Immediate after that is we are in this thing called life. So I ask you, do you want to go through life as hard as humanly possible? Do you want to go through life with a chip on your shoulder? Do you want to go through life specifically angry? Or would you rather go through life with the best intentions, looking at others as you hope they see you? Would you rather go through life content, just in yourself, not even in other people, just content in yourself, and then take it the next step and say that other person, regardless of their background, their skin color, their belief system, their education, their level of wealth, they're going through this crap too. They're going through life too, and all of its challenges. For some, they're more easily able to get through the challenges of life. Maybe it's because of their background. Maybe it's because of their culture. Maybe it's because of their financial, situation. Could be a multitude of reasons. Could be many reasons mixed together as to why one person may be handling life a little bit better than another. But that's okay. That's perfectly all right. We all are going to get through this together somehow. But we're going to get through it at our own pace. And the only way we'll effectively be able to see another person just as another person, just as they would see you, is to learn from the history and apply those lessons learned going forward. We don't need a specific course on race or race theory or how it can be applied critically. It's not necessary. The history is already there. When taught, when instructed properly to students, regardless of the level of education, you will see that they will understand that race plays a big part currently, at least when it comes to the United States of America, this country here. Don't need a specialized course, just teach the history so that we can learn from it and move forward. Because the number one supporter, the number one tool in the arsenal of white supremacists in racism and bigotry is the uneducated. Those who don't know any better. Those who don't know their history. Do not give them that satisfaction. They're not worth it. I promise you, if you look at any book, any history when it comes to white supremacy, racism, bigotry, not just in this country, but on the whole of the globe, they're not worth giving even an ounce of chance to spread their misinformation, their hate. It's not worth it. They are not worth it. Instead, do your best to become educated. Learn from the history. Learn from it. Read it. Study it. And not even doing deep dive. I'm talking about just surface level digging. And you will see that this country and others like it around the world, race is an issue. One that can only be rectified through knowledge, through passing of the torch from the educated to the uneducated, to pass along information from those that have it to those that don't, to show others that we are not all how it was 60, 70 years. That's someone's lifetime. Not even. There was a period of time in this country, and again, back to history, where if you were anything but white, you were literally anything but human. And it's sad. It really is. Because there are so many people from so many different backgrounds, so many cultures that have so much to give us, so much knowledge, so much history, so much to learn, and many things that they can offer, new perspectives on situations, new ideas when it comes to literally any path of study, whether it's the sciences, politics, or even trades. Many different people can offer so many different perspectives, many new ideas, that we would be grossly remiss if we were to just say they can't offer anything just because they are Black, Asian, Latino, Indian, Native American, just because we see them as one thing, that they can't offer us something. I don't believe it. Not at all. Because not for nothing, there's plenty of white people out there that are absolute garbage human beings. Most of them wear suits and ties and run cities, states, in some cases, a country. Ah, but there are people in every demographic that are just garbage human beings. But it's not because of what they look like. It's because of the content of character, who they are as a person, as an individual, willing to just be kind on a daily basis. At no point in time did I describe anybody of any particular race or background. It's literally, we can all be that good person. We can all be that kind voice someone hears. The good morning, good afternoon, good evening. How are you doing today? How can I help you? Are you okay? Simple things that we can all do. We don't need some college level course taught in public schools. It doesn't need to be banned, because again, that's saying the quiet part out loud. But steps can be made to properly instruct others when it comes to the history of the United States of America. By literally just opening a book and teaching origins of particular groups, the origins, the starting point of many groups who are still in positions of power now, who originally were just the absolute worst, and still are, to a certain degree, still are the absolute worst type of people. I find racism and bigotry to be an absolute waste of energy. Nothing good is ever gained from hating another person simply because of how they look, simply because of the color of their skin, the country they may come from, their perceived, monetary value, their level of education. It's not worth it. If you are one of these people, do yourself a favor. Drop it. Drop the ill will, drop the feelings. It's not worth it. Because at the end of the day, whether you like it or not, we're all going to exact same way. We're all going to pass away and pass on to whatever next life we believe in, or lack thereof for those of us who are non-believers. Regardless of what you look like on the outside, we are the same on the inside, and we're going to end up exact same at our end of life. Doesn't matter how much money you have, doesn't matter how educated you are, doesn't matter what your skin color is or anything like that. We are all the same. We are human first, and we are still in this together. Again, do you want to go through life with a chip on your shoulder, a constant nagging anger over something you can control? Instead of doing that, put that energy towards something more constructive. Put it toward a home project, a hobby of some sort. Do something. Because being racist, being bigoted, hateful, it's not worth it. Absolutely not worth it. Nothing to be gained from being a terrible human being. Just because another person looks like something different than you are. They may act differently than you do. They may dress differently than you do. There's no reason for that. Because again, at the end of the day, we're all going to end up exactly the same when it comes to what happens to us at our end of life. We're all going to end up as bones in the ground or ground up dust on somebody's shelf in a jar somewhere. Urn is what they would call it, an urn, but it's basically a jar for dead people. We're all going to end up the same way. So, what point of going through your day, seeing another human being who could possibly be going through worse than you, maybe going through better than you, either way, going through life, but you see someone else going through life and say, you know what? I'm going to make your life just a little bit harder because of the color of your skin, because of the way you dress, because of the way you act, because of the way you speak, because of your perceived financial background, because of your gender or perceived gender. It's not worth it. Nothing at all. So again, I pose this question. Why would you want to live your life like that? Nothing to be gained at all. Absolutely nothing. I'm not racist. I'm not bigoted. I personally don't hate anybody for their appearance, for the way they look, for things they can't control. I'm going to hate somebody because they're a D-bag, an a-hole, garbage human beings. Like, if you're going to hate somebody, hate them for something with substance. You know? Like, hate them because something they did. But their skin color, sexual orientation, you know, who they decide to love, like what they believe in, those aren't valid reasons to dislike someone. You may not necessarily have to agree with them, but damn it, the least you can do is just not hate them for it. Anyway, I've arrived at work. Obviously, I took off the seatbelt, changed the glasses. As we continue to try and get through the year, please keep in mind we're all going through something. Whether it's something big, something small, we're all going through something. The best thing you can do for yourself and for others, just be a decent human being. Not even saying be, you know, like Fred Rogers or, you know, yeah, you don't have to be, you know, a saint. Just don't willingly choose to be an a-hole. Just leave people alone. And just be kind when, you know, when it's appropriate. And just don't be a D. Just don't be a D-bag. So, for now, we're going to cut it out. I'll see you guys again tomorrow, same time, around 3:30-ish, maybe a little bit before, right here. Another episode of me driving to work. Again, name in the corner, HC_Darkness30XX, Black Hood Crew on Facebook and YouTube. The name on Twitch, Twitter, Steam, and TikTok. So until tomorrow, be excellent to each other.